Hey y'all, it's Midnight Cowboy, and today we are going to work under this bridge. This is the bridge near Highway Town. It is just to the west of Highway Town. So if you're looking for this bridge, you literally just go to Highway Town, head west, and you will literally run dead smack into it. This bridge is really tedious to work on, at least for what I did here, but I will share with you how I did it. There was a couple of workarounds I thought were quite clever that I had to use here in order to get these walls in. This place was this place I walked in and being like, oh, it's another bridge. I can do this. Like I've done a million bridges. Like this is going to be super easy. And then I was re-educated on my own skill set. So first things first, and I do recommend this regardless of how you build, start with centering your floor or whatever you're using, floor, roof, what have you. Start there because from here, if you don't center it just right, it's literally going to make your whole build look like it's off center, and it's going to look kind of not great unless it's intentionally done right. Like so, if you're doing like a scrappy build or something, and and it looks intentional, it's totally different than if like most builds, if it's off center, you can tell right away, and you're like, oh man, that's unfortunate. Anyhow, so as you see, I got my foundation in place there. That turned out well. Actually, it's an upper floor, excuse me. Um, but the biggest problem we're going to have here with the upper floors is that we're not going to be able to snap them through the cliffs. And that is the biggest headache. In fact, foundations wouldn't snap through these cliffs. I tried all sorts of different things. I could get the foundation to snap through a little bit on one side, but like the other side, the side that's closest to Highway Town, was just not having it. It was like, no, Moonlight Cowboy, I don't care who you are, I don't care how many builds you've done, this ain't happening today. So we had to find a workaround for that. As you see here, everything turns red. Again, I did try foundations here too. They still wouldn't snap through, and it was quite frustrating because we do have new build standards that have been lowered, so I expect everything to work out, and it doesn't. So, but the good news is because of that, there's still a reason for me to do these tutorials. As you will still need to learn how to do these workarounds a little bit. All right, so what you saw me do is I pulled that floor back just slightly. And what I'm going to do here is I want to at least get my walls in here. So one of the cool things about this bridge is you have these cool gaps that go through the pillars. And for me, that is the perfect doorway if I can get those walls in. So I'm just aligning this this floor to where those walls are going to go in there, no problem, hopefully. So we're going to snap another floor through there if possible, and then we can just double wall. So. And now we've got our different floors in. You could do this with catwalks. You could do this with a door. A door will snap to another door. Again, the line of sight thing is kind of a pain, so you might have to move yourself around a little bit if you're trying to do this, because sometimes it just won't let you unless you have visibility on it. But for this doorway, I didn't have really much of a problem, at least this time. This is like, you guys only get to see like the final cuts. I did this like 3 or 4 times leading up to. But anyways, yeah, got my doorway in, so that looks pretty good. See, it kind of melts into the concrete structure, which is what I was looking for. So knowing that I couldn't get those upper floors in, I had to get creative here. So I went back to my old friend, the roofs. Roofs are great because they do have they unlike floors and foundations, which only have like their basic snapping point. A roof has 2 snapping points, really 3 if you want to get technical. So you have flat, you have angled, but from the bottom it's a slightly different snap point, and then top angled is a much different snapping point, depending on your situation. Also, when you are snapping to walls and you snap a roof up at an angle and you flatten it versus placing one flat, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There is that slight difference. Anyhow, what I'm doing here in order to get because I want that floor to go through both sides of the cliff, come hell or high water. Otherwise, to me, that I'm gonna just have to like deal with it, obviously, because I can only do so much. But at the same time, I'll be very sad. I'm gonna go ahead and put those roofs, as you can see, at an angle. Getting them through this concrete piece was a little bit of a challenge. They didn't want to just go naturally because it wasn't finding that snapping point. But see, I was able to get it there, so I got it. The problem with this is that it's probably not the angle that I want it to be at, but that's okay. Let's keep going with it for now and see if I can get through that concrete over there. Okay, I was able to add one more beforehand, so that's good. So we're going to angle this up because it doesn't want to go through naturally. And this one was a real pain in the tuchus. So I just placed it anywhere where I could get a closer grab on it from FreeCam, and then thus getting more control over it. And then I can just kind of drag it into place. There we go. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of adjustment on our end to try and get it to work. Now we got it as close to the cliff as we could. Let's see if we can just snap it into place first and foremost with the arch, or with it being angled, excuse me. I may want to change the angle on this. So we're going to try this here. Okay. So that roof is in place. I still haven't gone through the cliff yet, but let's see if we can now. So notice I have it at this angle right here. This way it changed the snapping point to be, or the impact point to be a little higher. And let's see if we can get it. There we go. Look at that, I snapped through that cliff, and that one's the harder of the two to snap into. They're both hard, don't get me wrong, but one I was at least able to get a foundation in through, so that's how I'm gauging how hard they were. They're still a pain to do on both sides. So on this one, I tried to go from the high snapping point, and I was unable to do it from there. No matter how hard I tried, it didn't want to go in. So what I ended up doing here in a moment is I just rotated this roof to go the other way. I basically flattened it and I just rotated from underneath. You saw how easy it was to snap it in from the first place. So I changed that angle like so, and then I was able to snap this other roof in. So that's kind of how you're going to have to play with this in order to get it in. It's going to depend on your height of your build. It's going to depend on a lot of things. But if you're struggling to get it in one way, try other ways, because it took me 3 different ways to get that thing in. Okay, so now we have our first platform of roofs. But because I can't run floors all the way across, I don't want to just have like a part at each end that only has roofs. So I'm going to change the upper, where you see the upper floors. I'm going to add roofs to that too, and so I'm layering them, and the reason for that is because I want to use the Rest in Pieces roof set. They make for really good floors, but I don't want to use the underneath of them, because underneath of them just looks like regular ass roofs, right? So rather what we want to do is I'll use something like that set right there, which is the Clean Ranch set, which has a nice smooth underneath, or I could use the concrete, the ones that look like concrete underneath, and those are the Army Base set. That's another good one to use here, because you have the concrete, right? So essentially I'm just getting that roof to be about the same height as those floors, and the reason why I'm pretty hell-bent on making that happen is I already have those doorways in place. So if I make it lower, there's going to be a gap where those doorways are. Now, one thing to note here, I do leave a floor off to the side. Right now it's off camera. There it is right there. See, it's in front of the roof. And that's kind of my keystone. So later on, I'll need to go back and add some floors just to get the rest of my walls in, at least easier than the way that I would normally have to do it. I could do it easier with floors. And the same process applies. I'm just angling them like accordion style across the expanse of that bridge. They're still giving me a hard time. That bridge has been a real pain in my butt. I will do something differently next time when I'm here building, but it won't be for a while because this one, for like the effort that I put in, it was not my favorite structure to play with. But at the end of the day, I was able to get these roofs into place. And again, like I said, those rest in pieces roofs, they kind of look like a dark hardwood floor as it is. So I do like using them as a floor. I'll use them as a floor, and sometimes I'll use like the responders roof because they look like concrete. But typically this is my go-to. And sometimes we can just snap them through like that, no problem. The bridge kind of has a mind of its own. And let's see if we can get that next roof through. If I snapped it up there, it would be great, but we know that that's not where the level of the floor is going to be. So let's see if I can do it here. And yeah, I was able to get that in, no problem. So now I will officially have my double roof going through both sides of the cliff. And then that way it runs kind of like, it flows much better in my opinion, having it intersect with the cliff on each side. Better that than just one side. I would have made it work though, don't get me wrong. Okay, so as you see here, I can't get that last one in, despite the fact that it is at an angle. So what do we do here? Well, again, we can change the angle of the roof. Depending on the situation, we can also glitch into the side of the cliff, which we will do eventually. First, we're going to look at this roof right here, and we're going to see exactly how we want to get this piece in. And I'm going to see if I can snap it in flat. Sometimes it will work that way, right? You never know. We saw it snap through flat. Because it was a little higher up, it went through the pillar, no problem. But instead what we're going to do, knowing full well that we can't, is we are actually going to go inside of this rock face. Now, when we go through, there's actually a series of rocks. It's one of those really crappy rock outcrops where it's like a layer of rock, layer of rock, layer of rock. But fortunately for me, the layer of rock here actually has some ground to it inside, and I'm not going to fall far. See, this is what I'm talking about. So because I'm on the other side, the item was not visible before. Now I'll be able to snap this through, probably no problem. Bingo. And again, and I had tried this with the floors. Don't think I didn't try to go in there with the floors. They still wouldn't snap. It kept saying, instead of item not visible, it kept saying, there was another item in the way, basically. Cool. So now we have floors, or, roofs as floors going through both sides. Now I want to actually add some walls here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to lower that upper floor to be just below that other roof, like so. Cool. And then I can start adding a few more floors, and then I can start my basis for my my walls. Now the way I did it, I'm starting with wallpaper side out, because I want to do like an ultra modern build here. I think it'll look really good with this backdrop of this scrappy bridge. I think it'll be a nice contrast. Initially when I started this build, I wasn't going to double wall it, but then after a while I kind of felt like I was being locked into, because I chose to use the House of Tomorrow walls because of those cool windows, and then I kind of was like, I don't want the whole build to look like the outside of the house of tomorrow walls on the inside. So I do end up double walling this, and that was a little bit of a pain, but I'll walk you through that whole process. In fact, most of this video is actually going to be about putting these walls in. So as you see there, those walls snapped in no problem. Even over there on the other side, I wasn't able to get that floor to go through, but I used a half floor, and then I was able to attach the wall to that half floor to get it in. Doing the other side will be the same process. There, the one side of the bridge that gave me the most difficulty, which is the one over there on the right, not that side, that one wouldn't let me just snap the walls through. So again, you'll see I go back inside of the cliff, and I was able to get it in there no problem. Here I had one more floor I guess I didn't put in, so I'm putting it in right there. This is actually going to be for I did like a landing platform. I didn't have stairs going straight up into my build. I did like a little deck. I thought it was appropriate for what I was doing here, and I don't think it took away from the actual shape of the structure, like how like the stark contrast on it. So to do that same process applied, I was able to get the floors in there fairly easily, and I do end up doing a double roof on this as well. The one thing though is, remember how I said I want my floors to poke through slightly through the bottom? That way I'm not seeing any of the line of the roof, but the downside to that is they poke through a little bit. And for what I'm doing here, I was going to do this porch running all the way, like have it go all the way over to the rocks. What I ended up having to do is pull some away. See that wall right there? That wall poking through right there would have looked hideous from underneath. So I decided to just go with this like this, and I think it came out just fine. And so then I add my stairs. Don't worry, we're going to get back to walls in just a minute. This is a nice little break from that. I love these new stairs. They don't snap to anything except for that one porch set. But they are really cool looking. So I use them whenever I can, whenever I need stairs, because they have that really cool vine effect. And I'll just free place those guys. The other nice thing about these two is they usually will go into the ground, no problem, unless the ground is really crappy. So like I'll layer these steps too, right? Because these don't actually touch the ground right now. But first I'm going to just make sure the positioning on them is just right. There we go. And so notice they don't touch the ground. So I'm just going to overlap some of these. You could do it from this far down if you want to. I looked at it, and because of that joint right there where it like connects at the bottom, it kind of looks a little funky even when I lined it up perfectly. So I ended up moving them up a little bit. Yeah, see that? I thought that looked kind of janky. So what I did instead, once I got this into position, and I was like, oh, that's not good, is I just moved them up some, and then I just overlap them like this. And then you don't see that joint, that break in that joint, and it just looks like one set of stairs if you line it up right. Not if you do it janky, it will then look like two sets of stairs that are overlapping each other. But yeah, that comes out pretty good overall. Like I still have to fiddle with it, but overall I like the way that those stairs look, and they're a nice thin stair too, so they're not a huge profile. All right, back to walls. So one thing that we're noticing here is because of the height that I wanted in order to get the doorways through, we run into an issue where those walls aren't going to necessarily touch the roof. There's going to be a gap there. So there's a couple of things we could do. Like if I wanted to be cheap and just get it over with, I would have just added a set of roofs, but then you lose that really pretty structure up there, right? And we don't want to do that. That's the whole point of building here, is to like enhance the structure, have it enhance your build. First things first, though, I do raise that wall up a little bit so I can add these glass roofs in. And by doing this means that it's most people don't notice it when they come into the build, but those that do realize that extra detail of saying, okay, he glassed in that crack, so like it's not just rain coming inside of his camp. I mean, it still does because of the fact that it's a greenhouse set and rain comes through that, but like from an aesthetic point of view, excuse me. So that looks pretty decent. Again, barely noticeable to the untrained eye, but at least I sleep better at night, right? And that's why I'm here. That's what matters. All right, so now back to the wall debacle. So our walls don't touch up here. We know that to be true. There's this little gap right here, and it's just so small, man. It's really irritating. So I pull down all my walls except for my base walls. And I realize that that one, I need that to be a regular wall. I don't want that to be a half or a full wall. So to do that, I just add the half walls with using that floor. Anyhow, so here we are. We're trying to get these to touch the top. So how do we do that? Well, what I did here was I took this glass wall and I lowered it to halfway. So essentially it's a half wall that's a quarter of a wall height coming out of there. And then what I did was I then could stack walls and go up. And because of that height, it's actually just enough to where it doesn't poke out of the bridge. See that? And it lines up with those roofs pretty nicely. I have to adjust it because it snapped to the roof and not to the wall that I wanted it to. And yeah, so I could do my whole build like that. So now here's the catch, because we know we can't get the floors in all the way across the bridge. Here's the workaround for this. This to me was like a stroke of genius. Instead of trying to go in from the bottom, I went in through the top. So I got a whole bunch of half walls into place because again, we can't get the floors all the way across, but I can from above. And then from here I was able to snap through the bridge no problem. Except right there because I was an idiot and I realized that I didn't realize that I hadn't put a floor up there and a half wall to get there. So that's why I didn't get that initial wall to snap in, just heads up. Anyhow, as you can see, I'm able to do this fairly easily from the top side. I could have possibly started this whole build from the top side. I just didn't have the vision at that point to do that. But when I tried this and I was like just getting frustrated with this bridge overall, this is how my workaround. I was like really proud of myself. In fact, I think I sprained my shoulder patting myself on the back over this. All right, so as you see, I'm adding the remaining walls that I missed because I didn't add that floor into place. And they were able to snap through the one side no problem. Now getting these glass walls in over there was a problem. So they snapped through here without an issue, but they didn't snap through the concrete. That height right there, there was too much interference, and it said that it was not visible. So there is a workaround for that, and we'll get to that. But we are going to do the other side, obviously. So, to do that, I just added another set of floors up there, upper floors. And then from here, I can just go ahead and add those walls into place like so. Same process applies. As long as this time I hit the length of my build instead of stopping one floor short, I should be good to go. Let's test. Let's get that out of the way. Yep. Snap through like a champ. And we're even able to get up there, no problem. And then of course I want like a back wall back behind it, so I add like a to cap it at the end at the top, so that way it's fully enclosed. So what I do with that is I just flip it going the other way, so it's wallpaper side in. And it doesn't really matter to me, like, if the other side is not wallpapered. Like, that one doesn't have to be double walled, because nobody is going to be able to see that whatsoever. Nobody's going to be able to get up in the nook of that bridge. Even in free cam mode, you might get stuck. So yeah, that part was fairly easy. Now, remember I said this one corner I wasn't able to get glass walls into, but we're going to rectify that here in a minute. There we go. Snapping them in, snapping them in. No issues, no issues. Issue. See? Said item not visible. So I've said this in another tutorial, the easiest way to fix the item not visible glitch is by making the item visible, and that usually means this. Breaking into the environment using like a cooking stove or any kind of like actionable item, and then you can break in to the back. And now look, now the game can't lie to me and say the item's not visible, because it is now visible. And let's see if this works. Yep, like a charm. Except I need it to go down below. I don't want it to be up top because I want it to follow the other walls. So of course that part became a little bit trying, but I got it in there. And then let's see if we can do it on this side. Same kind of thing. It wants to snap immediately to the top wall. I think it's got a stronger snapping point, and that's why. But eventually, after some twisting it around and whatnot, I was able to get it to snap in. And most of the interior or the wall side of our structure has been completed. We'll end up doing a couple other quick things here. So in this case, I wanted to double wall it, remember? And we left that piece of floor on the outside. And the reason we did that is because I can move these floors. And now these floors just go directly underneath, right? And then I can double wall these, no problem. And the same rules apply past the point where I can't put floors anymore, because the floors give me problems trying to get it out further, is I would come up through the top of the bridge, and we'll show you that in just a moment here. But see, I mean, it's basically the same exact process. So from here, doing the upper floors, it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing is now the floors or the walls facing the other way, so I have to use another floor to take it in. See, I kind of went the other way with it, and then I can remove this one floor. Oh. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so like I was saying, I used a floor to kind of go in the other way with it, like so, and then I'm adding the same line of floors going down that line of the bridge. And then now all of these, because the floor is facing the other way instead of going from the outside, all these walls will be going in on the inside as well. Now, because they're coming in from the floors, I'll probably have to break some walls in order to make this happen. But watch, even this wall right here, like, I don't even really have to do much of anything. It'll pretty much want to snap to this floor as long as I move my camera around, no problem. And yeah, so I had to break these walls down in order to get this in here. And yeah, I basically do this for the entire build. I'm not going to drag you through that whole sojourn. But yeah, it's the same process applies. Again, for that one side, you would have to break into the use the like cooking stove trick or whatever. Now, to do these end caps, one thing I noticed was those end caps had a gap of light from the top. So to fix that, I basically just went above, snapped a wall through. They're attaching to the doorway essentially, right? But because of the height of the doorway, it's not meeting the top of the girder. So in a nutshell, I snapped it up a little higher, or raised it a little higher, and then watch. See, you can see that gap, and now I close that out, but it fixes the whole gap problem. And I can do that from both sides, obviously. And that is how we did the structure for this camp that I did. Feel free to give it a try. Again, I wasn't able to get upper floors through, so if you're able to, I'd love to hear how you did it. This was my first attempt here as well, so the more practice I get with it, the more I will learn about how this site works and maybe be able to do something a little different. But I do like how it turned out overall. It kind of has this whole galley feel, as you see from this video, so it still feels roomy, but it's, the length of it still gave me enough room to have really nice lighting and really nice features to this camp. So hopefully you liked it as well, and hopefully this tutorial helps. For those who stuck it through the whole tutorial, or for those who watch my other tutorials or camp showcases, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I hope you all have a great day, great 2026. Stay blessed and have a great one.